In the previous lesson, we created a Civil 3D surface. So my surface is on, so I'm going to click on my surface, right click, and click Object Viewer. So now we're in the Object Viewer. So holding my left mouse button, I'm going to slowly move my mouse up. So I'm holding the left button and I'm moving this surface around, and notice how we can view it in 3D. So I'm holding my left mouse button again and I want to rotate, so I'm going to move the icon over here into this dark space, and then I can rotate it. You sort of just have to get in here and practice for yourself, but I'm holding the left mouse button and then I can move my surface around. So I've my finger off the left mouse button now, and I can zoom in and zoom out as normal. I can hold the pan button, the middle button on my mouse, and holding that middle button, I can pan the surface around and move it wherever I need to. So that's the sort of mainly what I do to view my surface in Object Viewer, but you've all these different views you can look at too. These are like preset views, but I usually just move the surface around myself using the mouse. So remember, holding the left mouse button, I can rotate the surface around. I can zoom in and out. I can also pan using the middle button. So notice how when we zoom in, we can see our grading, and we can sort of make out and visualize what's happening with the grading here. So notice how it's higher at this east entrance, and a road falls down to this parking area. And remember, when we were doing our grading, I told you that we were going to have a doorway at our warehouse building about here. So if I zoom in, you can see that the sidewalk outside the building here is flush with the finished floor elevation. That's because if you, for example, if you park your car down here, you're going to come up onto the sidewalk, walk up here. Notice you won't be able to access the building from here. If you're outside this building, this would be the exposed foundation. But once you walk up to the doorway, notice you can walk in, and mainly that's how we set our finished floor elevation. You can also make out the curb height here from the Object Viewer. You can see that the curb, you notice with the shading of the surface, you can sort of make out that this part is lower than over here. So mainly I use the Object Viewer to come in, view my surface, and make sure we have no spikes in the surface. For example, if I forgot to change a node elevation on the feature line, I would notice a big spike coming down here. And you can try doing that for yourself. Change an elevation on your feature line to 0, and then come in and look at your surface in the Object Viewer. You've also have these different views for your surface. The one I mainly use is conceptual, but there's different, like X-ray it's called, sketchy. So it's mainly a visualization tool, but it's very handy to sort of visualize your grading if you're having difficulty. For example, grading some area, it's good to come in here and visualize what's happening. I'm going to hit escape to get out of the Object Viewer. Click on your surface, right click, click Edit Surface Style, and in the Triangles tab, click Use Surface Elevation, we have been using the surface elevation for the object viewer up till now, but now I want to exaggerate that elevation by 2. Now we're not changing the feature lines, the elevations of the feature lines or the surface. We're simply exaggerating the elevation so it looks more exaggerated in the object viewer. So I'm going to click on my surface, right click and click object viewer again. And notice now how it is, the elevation is more exaggerated. I can even exaggerate it by 4, or you can exaggerate it by whatever you want to, but I find the higher the more you exaggerate the surface, the more difficult it is to control this object viewer for whatever reason. But now you can clearly make out what's happening. Remember, now this is our surface with the vertical exaggeration. It's exaggerated by 4. Notice how this entrance is much higher and it's sloping down here. This is your finished floor. So download the AutoCAD file for this lesson and practice using the object viewer, and it's a very good tool for visualizing your surface in 3D.